What up, John?
Hey there, Burgess. How are we doing?
Pretty good. It's another new week.
Oh, dude.
Couple cool things coming up, but yeah, I'm excited.
Dude,
Another
I'm excited
Tuesday,
too.
Taco Tuesday.
Yeah,
Doing
happy
way better than
Tuesday.
LeBron over here. Way better than LeBron over here. Fuck LeBron.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez. All right. Well, so let's do the beginning. We'll say this is a Lucreativity stream. Thank you guys for joining us. We're all excited to be here. We're super excited about our guests.
Yeah,
Always, but
our guest has some cool stuff going on.
yeah. I will say one thing about our guest is that the last time we played poker together, I'm pretty sure he wrecked me. And I felt real bad about it. But I'm excited that he's here. We're gonna have a great day, anyways. All right.
So
So
he's
some of
smart. That's what
yeah,
that says. He's smart guy.
yeah, smart guy. Some of the stuff we've got going on here with the advertisements are we have a QR code for on this side for Mexi. So if you see that QR code, you can make your account. I think I get like $5. You don't have to, but it gives you some kind of incentive as well. Cheapest fees as far as trading and such. So it's fun. I'm a part of the JPEG Empire team. And so we got the JPEG Empire logo up there too. Anything you want to tell us about, Burgess?
Yeah, I got a couple projects I'm a part of. Every single morning, 6 o'clock Eastern, Web3 Breakfast put on by J Chains. It's a great show. You should tune in. If you need a good thing to listen to on your way to work or like something to laugh at because you're having a bad day, come check out Web3 Breakfast. There's a bunch of DGen crypto guys that most of the time don't even talk about crypto. We just talk about life and funny ass things. And sometimes I don't even talk, just listen. So check out that. Check out J Chains. He's a great guy. Turbo, 74K. They're all great. It's three of them. I forget to call out some people sometimes, but that's a great project. And then another NFT project I'm really into that I think you should mint because you're going to get a lot of value out of it is the Goons. It's on Solana. If you're into the 3D art, you're going to get a 3D files from this mint so you can play on Nifty Island. You can do all the different things that you can do with 3D files if you're an artist. So definitely go check them out. And then yeah, well, I guess we're gonna get to the show now.
Yeah,
Freaking
and
what?
nothing we say here is financial advice. We
Oh
know
yeah,
nothing about anything. It's possible, that we might say something or feel some way about something, but this is stuff that we do. So this is what we talk about, things we like, things we're interested in, but absolutely don't do anything.
I dropped out of college, so don't listen to me. I'm a college dropout. I don't know anything about finance. Not financial advice. I'm a dumbass, so don't worry. Yep.
And I went a bunch of times. Take that as you will.
You went
Anyway,
a bunch of times? Oh, so
I went to a bunch
you
of different.
tried. Nice.
I kept changing my major. That was the whole thing.
Oh,
I couldn't pick one. It's like getting married, I was way too young then. Now I'm married. It makes sense. But then I couldn't do it, All right. Anyways, let's get on to the show. So we've got this awesome guest. We have Blano from GFi, and he's also a part of the Inmates, and we love them. So here we are, Blano. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing very good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
All right,
I gotta say, I did go to college. I graduated. In fact, I went back and got my master's, but I did switch majors. I started out as an engineer, wound up an accountant. Yeah, but yeah.
How are you using that? How are you using that these days?
Oh, I'm an accountant. That's my day job. Like GFi is kind of like our side gig.
Nice.
And, yeah, so it's mostly me and my friend Marty started it up, and he works in insurance, but like kind of that's like by day, and then by night we're doing the crypto and he does the coding and I'm more on the administrative side. And
little Batman and Bruce Wayne,
Yeah, living that dual life.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So you told us about the accounting and the regular life, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is tell us a little bit about Blano. What's Blano like to do when he's not counting numbers, counting things, and like messing around with crypto? Like what are you doing outside?
Well, Yeah, brand new dad, right? So I got, um, let's see, my daughter is a year and a half years old, so that's been a new development for me. Never had kids before, and so me and my wife are very happy with that. And outside of,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Outside of being a dad and then full-time job and, doing the GFi side hustle and crypto, that keeps me pretty busy. There's not too much time for much else.
Yeah.
That's
So, but
fair.
yeah.
I feel you on the dad part. I just became a dad about a year ago. My son's birthday's actually today. Happy birthday to Haven.
Wow, happy birthday, man.
Yeah, but dude, the being the dad just of a young child and also just trying to juggle that with life when you haven't done it yet is like,
Hmm.
oh, it's the most stressful thing you ever could imagine. And then it happens to you and you're like, wow.
It's a
The
mixed
grind
bag.
starts now. Let's
It's
did it.
got
Let's
some,
get it.
yeah, it's got some very high highs and some very low
Very low
lows, but
low.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So
But
I as well have some kids, right?
he does.
But mine are 12 and 14.
Way different situation. Very
Way different.
interesting situation.
Yeah. My kids don't talk to me, not because they can't, but because they have a cell phone and they'd rather do that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm sure that's coming for me as well.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's a fun part. But I will say that my daughter did just turn 15. So we had a whole quinceanera. It was
Oh,
an
that's
exciting
cool.
thing, right? It was a whole deal.
Yeah.
It was a whole deal. It was pretty. Went off without a hitch. I was excited, sweaty,
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. So then let's get down to the bread and butter. When Blano
Okay.
goes out to eat, right? Where are you going out to eat to? Right? Your budget is limitless, but like
Oh,
you need
that's
to eat
important.
what you want. You know what I'm
Limit-
saying? You're not
Yeah.
paying the bill. Somebody else is
Okay.
paying.
I'm in Orlando, so
Oh shoot.
we've got some really good spots to eat around here, but I'm a big fan of sushi and like Japanese. So if I could
Nice.
go anywhere and do whatever and like budget's not really a big concern, they got a place called Domu around here that does some phenomenal, like world class ramen and
Mhm.
just katsu. Everything they do is like 5 star, just awesome. Can't believe it. And they got really good mixed drinks, like their own style stuff with like, Japanese whiskey and all kinds of cool stuff. And, bring it out and they got smoke that billows out of it and all. So that would
That's
probably
awesome.
be my play if I was going to do that.
So if you're gonna give us like your best sushi roll, like what would that be? If you're
I mean, my stuff is like ridiculous, so I'm gonna want it deep fried. I'm gonna want it with eel and cream cheese and
oh yeah,
avocado and all kinds of stuff in there. I'm a big
we
fan
usually
of
do that too.
salmon and tuna, all that. And I don't usually get just one roll. I get like a bunch and split with people. So
Yeah.
it's like a family style affair where we all get a bunch of different stuff and we can all try a little bit. So that's my style.
Love it.
We definitely need to go out to eat together. That's what I
Yeah,
like. to do.
I love that shit so much. That's what I had for my birthday this last year. I was like, I just want to get some ramen, just ramen with like a soft boiled egg.
Oh yeah, that's the best.
Oof, love that.
All right. So let's see. Do you have any questions for our man Burgess, or do we want to like go ahead and hop into some stuff? Or do you have any questions for us, Blaine?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't really think about that. I would say, like, what do you look for in guests that you bring on? Like, what to you stands out about, I really enjoyed talking to that dude or that lady. That was a real pleasurable experience. Like, what to you like makes that the quintessential like good guest?
That's a good question.
That's
I'm gonna
all-
let
that's
Burgess answer that one
Good
first,
question.
and then I got.
So I think one thing that's important to me is that they're not wasting your time, obviously. Like I like someone that comes on the show that's like actually trying to do something that's cool, that's trying to help people. You know what I mean? Like, I like
Mm-hmm.
those kinds of people. And I like when people come on and, you know, they actually hear us out when we're like being like, hey, we're trying to get to know you, let's talk. And then you know, and then they have like a real conversation with us, you know. That's really cool. I like personable people. So far this is an example. Great guy interview, you know. This is fun, you know.
I think for me, really, it's just like we have to be able to have fun, right? We have to get to know a little bit more about you than we knew before. You know, I didn't realize you had all that hair, you know, when I was like screaming at you over the poker table digitally, right? On Poker Now with the most ridiculous odds. You know what I mean? You're a numbers guy, and you know that a 3-7 shouldn't usually win. But on Poker Now, you've got a good chance. 3-7, right? But
Yeah.
anyways,
I'll ask
really,
one thing. So I used to have the long hair too, and I love the long hair. For you, is it just like your style, or have you always had long hair? What is it? Because it's like it's a thing, you know. You got to take care of it, you know. It's a thing. So like, what is it to you? You know,
it is relatively new. COVID afforded me the luxury. I've always wanted to try it out. My parents were never about that. Kind of was, I wouldn't say it was a strict upbringing, but it wasn't like that didn't fly, right? And I also went to I was in the public school system, but I also did private school, so like in and out of Catholic school where they didn't let that fly either.
It's a uniform and strict,
Exactly. And so I always wanted to, but then you also got to go through that weird period of when you're growing it out. And as an accountant, right? Like nobody wants to see your accountant, you know, with a mullet or something weird, or some in between like bowl cut that comes down to here. But when it was COVID, everybody was working from home, nobody saw me, and so I was like, well, now's the time. And I like it. I like it a lot.
It's funny you say that, because the one time, so I used to work in Alaska on the fishing boats and stuff, and that was the time I grew out my hair, because I was out there for like a year and a half, 2 years, you know. And I was like sitting there like, I don't care what any of these dudes think about me. Half of them are tweakers, so I'm gonna do my thing. And like, it was so awkward. It was so gross. Like that literally like in between is the worst thing ever. But once it gets out, it's just like, I love this, to be honest. Like, I didn't really, it was weird. It was like, I had like a love-hate relationship. Like, it was like a lot of work, and I was like, I think I'm just too lazy. I think I'm gonna just go back to the shortcut and just, you know, style it up.
It is a lot, because I used to have it super short too. So like not much product, and I mean not much time. Like you wake up and you can just, you know, do some gel if you even do that, and like you're good to go. But no, it's like a routine now. So time, energy, money, it goes into it. I didn't even know I had curls. I thought my hair was straight until it got out, and it was like, oh, I got curly hair.
Yeah, mine was just like pink. Just straight. Just boring.
All right, so we love that. That's fantastic. I envy you both. I've never had long hair because my hair just grows out and up. So I'd have a
whole
whole
got the fro.
And I did have a fro before. I used to have like a fucking 6-inch high hair.
I've always been jealous of that. I've always been jealous of that. I've always like looked at that like envious, being like, dang, that would be so fun to do. And perms are so bad for you. I don't want to get that. But that would be so fun to have an afro.
All right, so you asked us what one of our favorite things is, and I'll say that one of our biggest things though is people that are actually building something interesting in the space. One of the biggest problems that I feel like we have in crypto in general is just that it's not easy, and people don't understand, like there's too many like barriers to entry that are just more of a convenience thing. And so anybody that is doing anything to make it easier for the thing that we love and we're passionate about to be used by the majority of people is stuff that we love and we're interested in.
100%.
So this is where we segue into. So Blano, tell us about what you're doing, and are you building anything?
Sure thing. So I'm a part of a company called G-Fi Systems. And so we set out really to provide a tool to help mostly projects, right? But really anybody who has a community, to engage and reward community members for doing the things that a good community member should want to do anyways, right? Like sharing, liking, commenting on your Twitter posts or X posts, right? We have gotten an integration so that you can get, when you post something from your feed on X, it directly posts in your Discord with buttons that pop up. And when you interact with those buttons, you can earn points, and those points you can spend in a store that you can stock with items. And so it's a nice little economic, system that we kind of embed in your Discord. And you can do lots of cool and unique things with that store. And the limit is kind of your imagination, where you can, give away NFTs, or you can create a story where those items may unlock certain channels, and you can really go down a rabbit hole and do some really cool experiences for people. And then we've also got Cardano integration, so that if you have a NFT collection or a fungible token on Cardano, we can read wallets and have your users link their wallets to our G-Fi engine, and then all of that system can talk to each other and gives you a lot of additional functionality where you can allow people to get weighted entries into raffles based on how many NFTs they hold, plus get access to the channels and grant and remove roles based on what NFTs or fungible tokens they're holding. And there's a lot of customization built into the system so that it really can feel like it's a part of what you're doing, as opposed to just something that's been tacked on.
So it's like kind of streamlining what people are kind of gearing their Discords to do already, is what I'm kind of hearing.
Right. Yeah, there's some things that exist that do what we do in part, but ours is nice because we've had a big focus on, one, making it as easy and as intuitive as we can. And this is something where we love to get feedback from that as much as we can, and we actively seek it out, because sometimes when you're real close to it, it's hard to tell, but we've taken a really hard look at, like, how do we phrase this so that it makes sense? How can we structure this, prompts and questions? And instead of using slash commands, which can be really frustrating, because if you mess one part of this 20-piece complex thing up, you got to basically start all over and it just fails. Whereas if we can walk you through an embed message system with buttons that you click, it becomes a lot more easy and intuitive. And then if you realize you made a mistake, you can back up and change something, as opposed to starting all over from scratch. And so we're really trying to improve not only the end user experience, but also the admin experience, the person who's actually having to set up these raffles or these roles. We want to make that person's life easier, because what we're finding is that a lot of the people who are project founders are doing it because they're passionate and they have the idea, but they may not have the technical experience. In fact, in my experience, most of them don't have that kind of techie background.
Yeah.
And so they struggle with that part a lot. And so we kind of figure, if we can provide the tool that can really help them bring their idea to life and that experience and make it easier for them, it's just helps them so much. And
That's
we see a
amazing.
lot of people
Yeah.
get really passionate about that when they're like, oh my God, I can do this and then I can do that. Oh, wow, this is so much better. Like you got pictures and like all that stuff. It's really cool.
I love that. I think one of the things you were talking about, what makes me like, it makes checking Discord and all the other, because I have so many channels and all this like crypto stuff, and it's ridiculous. Right. And like they all have like so many different like subcategories and all this stuff, and I'm like, if I could just do things easier and I could just click, that's exactly, but like you're like preaching to me. I'm just like, I am so excited for this. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
It's funny too because we talk about like Marty's got a lot of good like euphemisms that I kind of borrow from time to time, and it's my coder, my partner in crime in GFi, and one of them is that like the party is happening in Discord, and you don't necessarily want to send them off to do something because they may never come back. Not to say never, right? But like not that day, right? Like if you go to Twitter to do the thing, you may get lost down a Twitter rabbit hole. Happens all the time, right? To the best of us.
100%.
Which is why it's like if you really want them to like and comment and retweet, like you can send them there. But like it's way better if they can push the button and stay at your party
Yeah,
in Discord,
don't even have
hanging
to
out
leave.
and learning and experience and bonding with your other community members and stuff. So we try and keep that party hopping in Discord.
Dude, that really is awesome because Discord is not easy to use for everybody. I mean, some people like, you know, we have Seji on our team, and I always call him the Discord god, you know, or Discord Jesus, because like if we have like a serious problem or something's going on, I go to him, and like I can't do it. But we've been seeing that this GP bot is basically like taking the world by storm. I mean, like all of the Discords I'm in, and I the other day got denied being able to add another one because I was already at 100, right? And but in a lot of them, I'm seeing this GP bot all over. And then here's just something I was wondering: are you all a part of the Alliance by chance?
We are, yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, we're big fans. Adam reached out to us. We were one of the first people to get involved in all that, and he's got GFi underpinning all the stuff that's happening with the Alliance. So it's been good.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And then so how I got you here, which I was excited about, is I was on a space with the inmates. So tell me about the Inmates project, because it's a project I like a lot. I mean, I'm still want to get the Warden on, you know what I mean? Like I think
Martin's
he's just
great.
A character.
He's really fun in person too. We got to hang out with him at NFT XLV. Marty and I both, right? We were there helping out in the Inmates booth, and we've gotten to know Martin and the rest of the inmates really, really well. They've been kind of like our flagship server where we've tested out a lot of bespoke stuff that we've done for them, but then also like some of our newest features we kind of roll out in Inmates first, almost like a test server. And so we've gotten a lot of good feedback, and they're a big part of like where we've gotten today. And I have been a fan of Inmates just personally ever since they rolled out. Like I minted a death row pass back when they first got started, and I've been with them ever since. Hold a bunch of inmates, do the whole staking and all of that kind of stuff. And they started out with a death row pass, which was like a very limited run, like they call them all sorts of different things, but it was like a real small kind of like, let's get our core group in and make this one thing the center feature that we reward more than everything else. And then they came out with the main collection of Inmates, and there's been a lot of different collections since. But the important thing with Inmates is that he had this big vision back before he started of how all these different things were going to work together. And it's tied together so much better than any other project I've ever been a part of. Like it gets compared a lot to Ape Society and some of these other big names. But the soul of Inmates, I think, more than anything else, is the people that are there, and all the people who help out and talk. And it's just been carried on so much longer. And then now they've spun off into this shank pad launch pad, and they've got like some really cool projects budding off, right? Like Hops, and really excited about Hops. And a lot of the team members from Hops came out of that Inmates like garden, and some really, really cool people. The founder, unforgettable, real name Ryan, he was with us at NFT XLV, and
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, just really phenomenal group of guys. And I mean, it starts with Warden, and just like, real name Martin. If you've never seen him in real life, he's a pretty boy. He looks like he could be a model, and he's so tall. And I swear to God, there was like a moment where I was standing. My partner, Marty, is like 6'3", I think. And we were with Cardano Thor, who's like 6'6" or whatever. And then Martin from Inmates, who's like 6'6". And I'm like 5'10", 5'11" or whatever. And I felt like a midget, I felt like just like the shortest dude ever.
Well,
I'm standing around these giants, right? But
I'll make you feel bad because I'm 6'6" too. So you're in the same exact situation as your friggin' FTXLB,
You'd fit
dude.
right in with them at the next CNFT, or NFTXLV. I heard is like merging with Rare Bloom this year. So, but yeah, like they're just towering giants, and yeah, Warden is one of them, and he's a pretty boy, and he's got his Londoner accent, and he's a cool dude though, very charismatic, like talks with the best of them, and but he means what he says. He doesn't usually hold back, and I respect that a lot. It's good, and it's good to have in a business partner, which is one of the reasons why we were eager to partner with him.
That's my wife.
Nice.
Well,
Thanks,
it
babe.
makes both of you feel better. I am
tuning in.
5'8", but 6 foot on Tinder, right?
There you go.
See,
Round up,
you're
man.
smart. You're smart. You know what to do. You gotta at least put 6 foot, and you show up, and you're like, you're gonna pass up a free dinner with me? Come on.
It's a joke. It's a joke. My wife will literally shank me. Right? She will shank me to death.
My wife probably got mad at me saying that,
But anyways, so that's super awesome. The Inmate crew is a really great group of people. I've been tuning into a lot of their spaces. What are the days that they have them? Isn't it like every, or do they?
I think it used to be like every other Sunday, I think. Well, it actually was like every Wednesday and every Sunday, but I think he switched it so that it was every other Wednesday and every other Sunday. Because one of them takes place in the Discord, and then one of them takes place on X.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I would need to double check that. It's been a while since I've been consistent, because he does them because he's in London when I'm in the middle of my workday as an accountant. So it's a lot of times I can listen in, but it's been so crazy for me with the start of the year that it's been hard for me to even listen in during my workday. But it's starting to even out now, and that was when I was on the last one, and I got to catch you in there, which was cool.
No, it was perfect.
Yeah,
it was perfect, and I'm glad we got here. Yeah, Ryan from Hops on Cardano is definitely coming on at some point.
Nice. Yeah,
he knows.
Yeah, good. He's a fun dude, man. Like, his passion for beer is intoxicating.
I'm really excited.
It's so contagious, and he is by far the most knowledgeable person I've at least talked to. Like, I know there's probably people who know more, but I haven't spoken to them, and that dude has forgotten more about beer than I think I will ever know. Like, it is fascinating.
I've been saying this for a while, but I want a JPEG Empire, but I want a like boss edition, because that's going to be our next mint, right? It's going to be the bosses. So I want the bosses, and I want it to be a hazy IPA, because I love a citrusy, hazy, like, this is what I want.
I'm a stout guy, but I can respect that. That.
So if you're going stout, like, what's your favorite flavor of stout? Like, what one would just be like, I gotta get that. That's it.
I mean, it's gonna sound super basic, but I love a Guinness.
Oh,
that's my thing. Oh, I think I might have.
You're good. I think you're coming back.
But yeah, Guinness, you said, right?
Yeah. On draft specifically. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, it's so much. Yeah, we can hear you perfect.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, no, on draft though, dude. Draft is like Yeah, it's funny. That was my first beer. Like, it was the easiest, like most delicious beer, and it's still like just the foam on Guinness. Oof.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
nitrogen, man. That's one of the things I love about it and why I say on draft, because like you can get it out of the widget or whatever in a can or a bottle, but it's not the same. And that mouth feel, whatever you want to call it, it's hard to replicate. And I just love the flavor and the taste of a Guinness. I'm more of a bourbon guy. I like bourbon a lot.
Yeah.
Buffalo Trace, one of my favorites.
Hell yeah.
And so, but when I'm at a bar and I see Guinness on draft, you know, it kind of have to do it. So.
It's a good one. It's a good choice. So we've talked about the inmates, how their ecosystem is like very tightly tied together.
Right.
I guess outside of the inmates, and then I'm going to bring it back to the inmates, what are some other projects that you like or that catch your attention in this space? Like, and what do you look for in a project that catches your attention? And I asked you this and you said not yet, but I'm going to ask again. So did you mint a Little Sappy?
I did not mint a Little Sappy. I was slow on the uptake for that one. I didn't hear about it until after it popped. But what I look for, it's funny because what I look for has evolved, mostly because I've gotten, I mean, I would say rugged, but it's not usually intentionally, right? But I'm all about something, and then I realize it's missing some fundamental key pieces, and that's what drives me to look for that in the next one. So it's like, at first, I actually got started in Lion Legends, and I mean, back in the very, very early days. And I liked that one, but then I diagnosed that the founders were just not around and not involved enough. And then it was like, okay, I need a founder that's really involved and really present and really pushing the ball forward. And then it was like, okay, and then I got involved with one where, you know, it was a couple of young kids, and it was like, that started out great, ended awful. It was like, okay, well, founders really, you know, it's great that they were around a lot, but they really need to have some expertise, and they really need to be putting some value into this thing. They really got to have more than just a great idea. They got to have the execution and the means to see it done, because all the time in the world isn't going to give you that. And so it's just evolved. And it's funny because Inmates is one of those things that kind of checks all the boxes, where they've got like a great community, they've got like a good plan, it's been planned out, it's well communicated, like it, you know, it's got a lot of fun to it, where you've got like a lot of aspects that are kind of gamified and fun, and you can treat it like, okay, you can extract value from it and there's some money to be made, but that's not really the point. And they're doing business, right? Like the warden is starting up, you know, one, he's bought into GFi, right? And then he also has, you know, the shank pad. He's doing a barbecue sauce. He's getting involved with honey and the bee's hive. And so there's a lot of different kind of revenue streams, if you will, outside of the inmates himself. And, you know, he's also got like the book and the audio book that's coming out. And I mean, there's just a lot of things going on. And I mean, that doesn't even touch on the library that they have. And they've got Johnny
Tell me about
Blaze.
the library, because this is actually new to me and I don't know too much about that at all.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
So he did a library pass mint that GFi actually did for them. We minted these NFTs that count as a library pass, and that gets you into a special section of the Discord that has kind of like alpha and different things. But one of the most valuable things to me is that we've got a member in there, Johnny Blaze, who's like a trading aficionado, who did like a series of like educational like sit-ins where you could go in and kind of learn the ins and outs of trading crypto and stocks and all these sort of things, of like how to set, you know, your stop loss and and how you can pick, where to set your entry and exit points and what to look. And then he actually does calls where he'll say, like, this is, you could set your buy here. I would set my sell here, and we'll do it as a group. And like all these calls that he's done have been like very profitable from what I understand. I haven't done it, but like you can track his calls. It's all right there. And there's like, by all accounts, people are making tons of money, and I just been too busy doing my day job to partake in it. But
I know how that feels.
yeah, even the education, which I did, I caught the classes because that was before the beginning of the year, and they were really educational. Like, just, it was cool to learn from him. And there's a lot of other people who are doing a lot of other things where they can teach skills, and do that kind of stuff inside of the library. And so it's been a really cool aspect to that.
So I was just going to show this real quick because you were talking about it, so I was looking it up. So the library pass is actually only 103 ADA. That's the one on the floor, and then from there it goes up. Let me see actually how many of them there are. There are only 420, which is hilariously awesome. The best offer is 75 ADA, but like that's interesting because it's definitely worth looking into. And so some of those, some of that alpha still comes out now. Is he like regularly in there all the time?
Yeah. And I mean, there's, if you could see it, there's tons, excuse me, getting over a cold. There's tons of channels in there of like, not just the ones with Johnny Blaze, but even the ones with Johnny Blaze. He's got separate channels broken out for all these different crypto coins or blockchains, right? And then you've got other callers in there. The warden is one himself, and the warden will go in there and tell you if he hears about some alpha from a different NFT project, right? Like he might catch wind as a founder of something you may not hear. And he'll drop that in there and be like, hey, just so you know, this one seems real. Like I've heard this thing, that thing. And so there's some actionable info in there a lot of times. And he'll tag, the library holders so that they're kind of up on that stuff.
That sounds awesome.
I'm gonna have to look into getting one, man. At the price of little sappies right now, you can get like 1.5 library passes.
There you go.
So people that are looking to get out of little sappies and into something that might be kind of interesting, I hope this might be a good avenue for that.
Yeah. Sadly, I don't know much about little sappies other than the fact that it was an instant sellout and people are talking a lot, about it.
Yeah.
That's the extent of my knowledge now.
I don't know anything either, so.
Within seconds or minutes or something like that, which
minutes.
Good on them. Good on them.
Is it real? Is it real? It sold out to people in minutes, literally.
On Twitter, there's speculation that there were some bots involved, but also you have to understand that the Ape Society holds. I mean, that's a huge project. So, in a lot of respects, I feel like maybe it's not always the case, but a lot of those guys are whales across the space. And so they can definitely shift their weight a lot more. I mean, just a little while ago before all the levy stuff, like the floor price of an ape was like 3,800 ADA. And so, now it's a lot lower now, but looking at that, like those people, they're in it. They're deep in it to believe that strongly in that. But they got sappy whitelists. I'll tell you that. I did not. I thought about buying one yesterday at it was like 100 ADA floor. And now I'm kicking myself. It's at 160, I think now, but who knows? Maybe I'll end up with a little sappy. If somebody wants to send me one, my wallet address handle is Lucreativity. So you can just, it's $ Lucreativity. Send me a little sappy if you want to know. Maybe sell it. Yeah. Anyway. So back to Inmates. So it checks a lot of boxes. That's really awesome. I've really enjoyed it. The whole team at JPEG Empire, we are all holders, and we've been talking about getting cells, and I think a couple of them have cells and stuff. And so we're really trying to get a lot more into the ecosystem. Can you tell me about the shank pad and tell me more
Sure.
about that, because that's something that we've been talking about wanting to partake in. We have a lot of insider information about what we're doing, and we're thinking about sharing it with them
Cool.
specifically. Yeah.
Yeah. So the shank pad was born, at least the way I hear it from Martin, right, out of a desire to kind of like help people who are starting out, because one of the things he found is that there are a lot of service providers in the industry that will gouge you real bad, just because it's hard to know who all the players are and what the prices should be, and not too many people will even talk to you about the prices until you've kind of signed on the dotted line almost, right, like kind of past the point of no return. And it can be so hard to even get the attention of a service provider a lot of times that you kind of feel like you have no choice and you're kind of stuck, right? And so he's been around the space long enough to kind of know who is and isn't being kind of fair with the prices, or even just to know what the good prices are and to negotiate on people's behalf, right? And so that's a big value proposition that he focuses on. GFi is just one of the many service providers that he uses. And he also knows which ones are good at which things and why. And so that's a big part of like what he provides. It's tied in with the Inmates ecosystem through like a profit sharing kind of deal too, where if you hold certain things, and forgive me, I'm not up on exactly what those are. I want to say you've got to have like one of each class of inmate, from like the males and the females or something like that, but I'm not 100% sure.
No,
That
totally
counts as a share. And then there's also a special like circle member NFT that gets you a share too. That was really expensive and kind of exclusive, where you had to be a death row pass holder and opt into this special mint. But it's really it's nice because it does feed back into the inmates ecosystem even outside of that, as there's tie-ins and reasons to use smokes and stuff. But really it's kind of like having like an embedded consultant, group, plus they've got Mac Daddy who can help set up your Discord and kind of teach you those sort of things and set your permissions, and not only just set them for you, but also teach you why. All the aspects of getting started, right? Where you've got like a great idea, but you're not really sure about the execution. Like they will kind of handhold you through the process and teach you why, like, okay, like it's good to have that great idea, but you're also going to need the execution on a number of different fronts. You've got to be able to clearly communicate your vision to people and also give them a timeline and set realistic expectations. And these are the things that your community members are going to be looking for if you should be lucky enough to even catch their attention. And oh, by the way, you got to catch their attention, right? Like you got to go to Twitter, and here's where maybe GFi is something you should look at, because you can do these things, right? And we can set you up with this, or if you don't like that, you've got these tools over here as something else. Like it's nothing's ever really like forced on you, but you do get to learn like the why and where some of that cost benefit analysis can come into play, right? Where it's like, okay, for the X amount of money, you get these features and they will do these things for you, and that's going to look nice to your community members, and it's going to make it easier for you to do your job and focus on the things you need to do to keep moving that ball forward. And yeah, it helps out, because it can be a lot, especially like most people, they're working off of a small team and they may have expertise in one or two of these areas, but there's almost always an area that there's probably room for improvement in. Or you might have to learn the hard way, which is hard when you've got like 1,000 eyes on you asking when moon, right? So.
No, that's awesome. One thing from the experience of the JPEG Empire is, so we had a very, very small treasury once we came in, right? And so one of the things that was kind of telling in that similar experience, and for why people might be really interested in being a part of the Shank Pad, is that we were reaching out to artists, and somebody was like, "Oh, I've got this artist. He's amazing in the space. He did X, Y, Z." I'm not going to say what, because he would be known for sure. And so what they said was that what they got paid was 20K ADA ahead of time, and then 20% of the entire mint, which we did the math, it ended up being like 116K ADA. Anyways, we were not exactly in a position anywhere close to even entertain the idea, but there are people out here in the space that like have these crazy like expectations, because you can get them depending on the part of the market you're in, depending on who your audience is. And like, we were talking about 3D artists for our next mint, and they were like, yeah, so like you're not talking about less than like $27,000, you know, and that's for a handful of 3D art, you know. And we already had the art, we just needed it 3D. So yeah, man, the space is crazy. And like, you know, one day somebody's got, you know, 1 million Pepe, and that's not enough to buy them a coffee. And then they have, you know, a couple billion Pepe, and they've paid off their entire student loans, and they've bought a house with it. So the space is weird.
It is. It's very weird. It's funny because it reminds me of the reason I'm here in a weird way is because Marty, my partner, drugged me into this because he had a near miss with Shiba Inu, right? Like he was there at the beginning, the very, very primordial early stages of Shiba Inu, and actually talked to the founder on like a, you know, person-to-person basis. And like he had a bunch, and when it shot up, he sold it, but he sold it like when it was like he made like a couple of $1,000s, where it's like
smart.
then
He
it was millions. Like and he was real proud of himself.
Oh,
and now
goodness.
he's got like super like, you know, FOMO, whatever you want to call it, right? Because or regret, because he could have had millions if he'd have held, right? And that sent him down a rabbit hole, but it led us to where we are, because it was like, at the end of the day, we wanted to be able to build in this space, because it was really hard to pick the right winners and losers, right? And so it was like, I think by design, it was like, you know what, if we just become a part of the space, if we start creating our own stuff, if we start aiding in it, like we'll be able to not only just pick the right people, we'll be the right people, right? Like, and we'll be able to tell because we'll be in the space, like for the right reasons.
I feel like that's how me and John came together, even like just we just wanted to be in the space and just like talk to people like about what's going on and learn and like all this stuff, you know,
People that are building.
yes, I love it.
Yeah.
I friggin' love it.
I mean, Lord have mercy on the day that we accidentally let a scam project on our show.
Bro, I like have been thinking about that like weirdly, because I've been like looking at our schedule of like the people we have like scheduled out for like the weeks, right? And I'm just like, damn, I'm gonna have one person on my show that's gonna watch one of these things, and they're gonna lose money, and they're gonna be all mad, and I'm gonna be like, I didn't mean to. I tried my best to research. You know,
But also, the day that somebody comes on here and they start hard shilling at the beginning, we're not going to let them talk about anything that they're talking about. I mean, this is a warning for you if you're watching a stream and you're like, oh, I'm going to go on there and show my crap. You know what I mean? We're not going to let you talk about your crap. We're going to cut the show short, and then we're going to roast you the rest of the time of the show. You're going to be embarrassed. You're going to feel bad.
And then we'll tweet about it.
Yeah. In my experience, I haven't had a bunch of people who are willing to go on camera who wind up like willingly scamming.
That's the whole idea, right? If you're
Yeah.
doxxed and people know like your face, you really gonna come on here and like talk about your stuff, you know? I mean, it used to be like that. Like scammers used to do that, and they're now hated.
There's some
But
people,
there's
you
some
know,
people,
Joe Quan.
Most
I mean,
of what
I
I
don't know.
see are like the unintentional rugs, where they kind of rug just because, like, of incompetence, or just they set out with the best of intentions, but
and they
didn't know
just
what they
give
were
up.
getting themselves
Yeah.
into, right?
Yeah, and way over their heads.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work when you have thousands of people or like hundreds of people like relying on you to give them something. It's a part of their lives, like they're like spending hours of their day like interested in these things, and then you're not satisfying that, and it's like, come on, you don't understand until you're there.
Yeah, that's one of the things I do try and impress upon people who are starting out, and I'm worried that they might not know what they're getting into. It's like, don't get into this for the money, because in most cases, you'd be better off if you're just looking for a quick buck in a lot of other business models. Like, don't look at your mint revenue as revenue, because it's really not revenue, it's a loan. Because in almost all cases, the people who are minting with you are expecting that money back with interest. Like, have that in mind. Like, start with that. Like, don't think this is a payday, because it's really not.
That's perfect way to say it.
What we're trying to do is our main focus is what can produce revenue without needing to extract more revenue from our community. So like 100% of everything that we have in our roadmap and that we've planned to do is revenue generating outside of them. So that way we can generate that revenue, mint one time, and the hope is that from there we can have perpetual revenue and then build forward. That's the hope. A lot of projects definitely don't think like that. They definitely think, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to airdrop that, and then like everybody's just going to be hype. There's like 6 projects that come to mind very quickly that I remember the airdrop that was worthless very quickly after the airdrop, that had a community that was very popping and excited when price is going up. But like, if the community is not excited when price is going down, and you lose your community based on price, like you haven't built a strong enough infrastructure. You've built your house on sand.
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. Wholeheartedly. And I'm glad to hear you talk about the things you did where it's like, because so many project founders, especially in the early days, were looking like the community was their source of revenue, right? Like, because we're just like, oh, we're going to do this, and then we're going to mint inside and get the funds, and then we're going to go 6 months, and then we're going to mint. And it's like, you can't, that doesn't work, because eventually people are going to get tired of handing you their money, especially if you're not really providing anything of value,
Well, the JPEG junkies were going to be able to buy merch, and then royalties from the merch would then be distributed amongst the community. But that was the idea in the beginning. But I mean, how many people inside of your community are going to purchase this merch and then would get enough royalties from the merch that then would be satisfied with, you know what I mean?
Like, it's kind of a terrible idea in my eyes.
It's like you're cannibalizing, right? Like you're eating your own. Like, okay, I'm gonna pay out of pocket so that I can get pennies distributed amongst thousands of people. That isn't gonna really make a dent.
I'm really loving.
You've got some wider market you're gonna tap into with lots more people.
What's this comment? Unforgettable, Hansel Moose, and the rest of us inmates and hops love to give Blano crap about his bots. But dude, and the project are straight legit. Blano, I'm shocked you're up this late. LOL. Love you, brother.
Thanks, Elliot. Yeah, man.
Elliot's a good dude.
Yeah, dude. He was in that same game
earlier.
Oh, that's funny.
What I was going to say, though, is like, I'm really loving all these projects that are really bringing like real world things and like mashing them together with like the crypto space. Like, I remember, I forget what it's called, but I was in this space with John, and it was like, It's like the whole colony thing. It's the B one where they're like,
that's
they're
the one
like,
that you said that they got investment in now, or
Yeah.
that they're working with closely.
like that
Yeah.
is so cool to me. Like
It's very
they're
cool.
literally like they're having hives and producing honey and making money off the honey and then paying people back, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. Like that's like the future of business in a weird way. It's going to be like a weird crowdfunding, like local, like business type thing, you know?
That's exactly
That's what I
I
think
was
of.
thinking too. That like in a
Mhm.
lot of ways, crypto is like Kickstarter, right? But it's different in a lot of fundamental ways
50%.
too, because it doesn't come with that like kind of Kickstarter guarantee. But it's also got a lot of weird kind of techie and like philosophical bend to it that Kickstarter doesn't have, and the community's way more important. And so it's similar but different. And
It's similar but
cool.
different, yeah. I love it. Like Hops on, like, isn't it Hops on Cardano kind of like the same kind of thing too, where they're gonna be like producing beer
No, it's the the
or
I can't remember what the thing is called. I want to say like ribosomes, but I'm pretty sure that's
Rhizome.
the rhizome. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's like
But just like that whole thing, it's just like real world. It's like it makes you so much more invested, and like this is so much cooler. I can like have a lifelong like interest in this. Do you now? You know?
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's nice too, because for me too, when you've got a real world product, it allows for a new bridge into crypto for somebody who might not otherwise be concerned or even be aware or interested in crypto, right?
Yes,
So like if you pick up a beer and it's got a QR code on it, and you know, like, oh, if I do this thing, I might, you know, learn about this or get this other thing, right? Because I bought this beer, I can get this NFT, you know, scan it with my phone. It's a nice kind of on ramp into crypto.
Exactly. And you see that stuff with like current advertisement already. It's like, oh, scan this, you'll get like a prize. It's like it's so it's the same thing. It's just a handoff that's gonna happen. And people aren't even gonna know, you know, they aren't even gonna understand. And it's crazy to me. It's so crazy.
It's funny too, because whenever I get like, I think we're all so deep in crypto sometimes, but it's real easy to see that not everybody sees it the same way we do. And so for me, it's real important to be able to communicate to people who kind of have that eye roll moment when you even mention crypto, where it's like, okay, it's not just the moon boy stuff, right? Like there's some real like fundamentally like cultural, like we could change the world with this kind of stuff, right? Like there's some substance beneath all the hype. Like
exactly.
It's really about digital ownership in a way that we've never had it before, where you don't have to rely on somebody to verify ownership, right? Like you don't have to trust, you know, Sony. You don't have to trust, you know, some big corporation. You can independently verify ownership, right? With you know, decentralized. Like there's a reason why this matters, right? And it's just really cool when you start to explain it to people, like, okay, it's not just making money, it's about proving ownership. It's about having like a digital certificate of authenticity that anybody can verify without having to trust the source, right? It's cool.
It's gonna make people feel a lot better about how they live their lives, because they're gonna have security in themselves. They're not gonna have security in other things, you know?
Right. Like if you didn't like, and when you hear people like, for me, Charles Hoskinson is somebody I really respect and admire, and I love to hear him talk about it because he focuses on that why, right? And when you hear him talk about like whether it's a deed for a house for a person in Africa when like the regime changes, or there's all these like nuanced things where it's like, wow, like the underlying like why of this thing is so much more important than the number go up aspect that we all focus on, right?
Yeah.
And that fundamental change that could be possible if we kind of see this thing through. And like the better world we could create with it. Like that's what really gets me excited.
Yeah. It's so funny for me is like I don't even like I think about taking profits in like the fun kind of side things I do, and like a couple other things. But like I look out on the horizon and I see like I don't really see it ending. You know what I mean? And like I see like way in the future where I'm like still having these same assets and then like using them to make money and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That like I don't even see it, and I'm excited for other people to hopefully do that too, because that's what it's all about. It's about changing the way things work, you know.
Agreed.
One of the big things I always think about with this is like, imagine if the government had to ask every individual citizen for their crypto in order to fund a war. Everybody would be
No.
like, "Ah, man, no thanks."
No.
And then
No.
the whole thing then just goes up. You know, to me, that's like one of the biggest. It's ownership, but also like it's the reason why we're not on the gold standard. You know?
Yeah, that's even another thing that I even like. So I've gone like a couple of like my family and friends like on the crypto train, and that's like one of the main things that like I teach them is like you can buy this stuff on Coinbase or whatever the hell you want. It's usually Coinbase because it's like the known one, but like you need to take that and you need to send it to your wallet. So it's like it's yours, and then no, they don't have their hands on it because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. You know, you got to have it as yours in your wallet.
Yeah.
So if you don't know that, now you know.
Yeah, being your own bank is a big aspect, and then having it be an inflation hedge is another big one for me, right? Like, just to kind of opt out, because like we all feel it, especially lately, right? Where the prices of everything are going up. You might be making way more money than you were a few years ago, but it sure doesn't feel the same, right? Like
that cut of steak is smaller.
Yeah,
sure you that.
When you're debasing a currency the way that like many countries around the world are, but definitely in the United States, it's something it's hard not to notice.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, you're good. All right. So we're going to wrap this up now. This was so phenomenal. Like, you asked us what we look for when we talk to people. This was literally it. You know what I mean? Like,
hell
we
yeah.
just, that's it. Now we just need Ryan on here from Hops. Now we also need, we got to get the warden up here.
We do.
We're going to make sure that we only get the top of him sitting down so I don't feel short, right?
We'll remind you.
Normal on camera. You can't tell how tall he is.
Actually, I'm going to make short jokes at him the whole time. We'll just go that route.
That'll work.
I'll be like, "Oh, you're so short."
I like to make UK-based jokes at him, so he might have a sore spot there. You can hit that one if you want.
How were the fish and chips this morning? You know,
I'm just gonna Google a bunch of them and just randomly just drop them in the middle of it. How about that?
I tell him all the time I'm gonna throw his tea in the harbor.
It's a good one. That's a good one.
All
We'll
right,
say,
man.
"What a beautiful smile you have." We didn't expect that one. But you all are fantastic. All right.
Yeah,
So
thank you
Blano-
so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Yeah,
We
it was really a
appreciate
pleasure.
you.
Like, thank you guys. This was like a really nice, like refreshing, like hang. It didn't really feel like, like I appreciate the no shill aspect. So thanks.
For
And
sure.
I really appreciate being able to talk like openly, honestly, and genuinely about some of the things I'm passionate about. So thank you.
Hell yeah. And we're
man.
glad to provide the space for that. That's what we're here for. We're the get to know your stream where everyone's doxxed, and we're not trying to like hurt you. We're just trying to lift you up and give you something better in life. So thank you.
We appreciate you, Blano. You're fantastic. You'll have to come back when we got some updates, right?
Yes,
So that way we
of
can
course,
tell
yeah.
people the juicy
Be happy
alpha.
100%.
All right.
Hell yeah.
So
Well, thank you, man.
all right, dude.
All
That
right.
was awesome.
That was
This
awesome. So
Have to do it
I'm
again.
gonna actually have to like get myself an inmate because I don't have an inmate either. I'm like slacking on all these freaking NFTs, dude. Oh my!
This is why I'm
goodness.
doing this, right? This is why I pick these people. You gotta.
I know.
I need you to know. I just want you to know. You don't have to get anything now. There's always going to be ups and downs. So there's always going to be a good entry.
I know.
But there's the projects that are worth looking into. And then there's the projects that are fun to look at for a moment, you know, and then it's out. But this stuff I think is going to be around for a while. I mean, the Geefy bot, so much utility. Inmates, the community and the ecosystem is awesome. I'm going to get myself on the shank pad. And I keep saying that. I'm like, I got to figure it out. I'm going to give them the alpha and then have them absolutely destroy our whole business plan for the better so that we can build it better. Right? That's what they're about. They're about shanking your poking all the holes.
I love it. Oh, thank you, Elliot. Thank you, Elliot. If you guys haven't already, please go give us a follow, like and retweet our live stream. Go give us a follow on YouTube. Go give us a follow on Twitch. We need subscribers so we can live stream on YouTube. That's the one platform that we're missing. So if you go on my profile, I have a link to our YouTube. Please go subscribe so we can be over there and we can start really expanding out. Thank you so much for everyone that tuned in. We are Lucreativity.
Yep. And we'll be here on Thursday.
And we'll be here on Thursday with another special guest. Love y'all.
Thank you, guys. Peace.